Alright folks, good afternoon. Here we are at the official Yamaha Motor USA press introduction for its 2024 MT-09 SP naked bike. This is an up-spec variation of Yamaha's updated for 2024 MT-09 naked bike. Now, this SP variation takes things further. It builds upon the pedigree of the MT-09 naked bike with putting on some high performance parts designed for all of us riders out there who enjoy going fast and want a vehicle that sets them apart from the competition in the segment. And that's what this $12,300 MT-09 SP is. Now the MT-09 SP lives inside Yamaha's Masters of Torque MT naked bike lineup. Of course, we have the MT-03 and MT-07, both twin cylinders. We have the MT-09, which is a triple cylinder, and then we have the big dog of them all, the MT-10, which is a inline 4. Now, first off, this particular vehicle benefits from probably the biggest upgrade is the use of a 41mm KYB inverted fork that features a slick coating on the fork tubes, which reduces stiction and allows the fork to travel more freely in its 5.1 inches of movement. This fork also features spring preload, high speed and low speed compression damping, something that we don't typically see in front suspension systems, as well as rebound. Spring preload is controlled atop the fork cap, while high and low speed compression is at the bottom of the fork leg, and rebound damping is atop the fork cap. Now the cool thing about this KYB fork is, unlike other manufacturers that are using more separate function designs where the spring is in one fork leg and the damping cartridge is in the other, that saves weight and reduces manufacturing cost. And while those systems are good at times, this fork is a conventional, traditional setup where we have a pair of springs, a spring in each fork leg, a damping cartridge in each fork leg. Yeah, it weighs a little bit more. Yeah, it's more complex, but it offers better road holding and more exquisite suspension movement for all of us riders who really, really want a high performance front suspension package. So good job, Yamaha, sticking to a traditional fork setup. We really like it. It works really well. Of course, we can see a nice little etched MT-09 SP into the top of the fork cap. Out back, we have an Öhlins shock absorber that works through a linkage. It's not a traditional bottom type linkage. It's a top back linkage, but it does work through a linkage. Öhlins shock. It offers remote spring preload adjustments. You can actually adjust the ride height of the rear of the bike with a handy black knob located on the right side of the bike. It's really easy to use. You twist it right and the rear end goes up, twist it left, the rear end goes down. We also have a similar type damping adjustment knob for compression on the nitrogen reservoir on the left hand side, and a nice big adjustment knob on the bottom shaft of the Öhlins shock for rebound. So the rear suspension is fully adjustable without tools. You just use your hand and crank the knob right or left, and that gives you more or less force and spring rate. Really nice, really handy. It just makes damping adjustments very easy. The front suspension, you still need to have some tools. You need to have an Allen wrench and a screwdriver, and of course a crescent wrench to adjust spring preload. But still, it's neat that we have such a lofty amount of adjustments, especially that high speed damping circuit on the fork. That's something you don't really see every day. So good job, Yamaha. This bike definitely rides. It rides. You feel bumps over the road when you're riding on bumpy stretches of tarmac, but when you are riding at speed, woo, the road holding of this vehicle is really exquisite. We also like the greater range of adjustment. This suspension package offers greater adjustment range. So if you're a slower or lighter or faster and heavier rider, you will have a good window to make your suspension adjustments. We went a little bit stiffer on the low speed compression, a little bit more rebound damping, and a little more rear preload and rebound dampening on the shock. Really easy modifications to make to customize the handling to suit your preference. Other modifications aside from the upgraded suspension are the use of jewelry like Brembo Stylema calipers, 4-piston radio mount Stylema calipers from Brembo. They just look like pieces of art. They're beautifully machined from billet aluminum, and they allow this bike to have even more stopping power. Of course, we have a Brembo radio mount master cylinder, which pushes hydraulic fluid through the lever into the brake calipers. Brakes are really nice on this bike. It's supplemented by always-on ABS, but with the SP variation, you can manually disable rear ABS. That's right. Not only that, you can also adjust the engine brake control. So if you want the vehicle to freewheel more in the corners and have less engine braking, you can actually set it into mode 2 now, which reduces engine brake. So really nice. So we have that. Then of course we have this nice liquid Raven paint job. This paint job is similar to Yamaha's YZF-R1M. Nice touch, really looks cool. Really like that polished aluminum swing arm that's clear coated, so it'll stand up to the elements. That's a nice styling touch. This bike is sick. Another neat feature, well, for some of you it might be a neat feature, for me it's not really a neat feature, is this keyless style ignition. So now this bike no longer has a traditional Yamaha vehicle key. It now uses a keyless style fob, and the fuel tank is electronic. So the fuel tank you no longer open with a key, you open it when the vehicle is shut off. Of course, you have to have that keyless proximity fob within a certain amount of distance to the vehicle for it to work. That keyless fob is neat though, because it does have a traditional key built in. You can pull it out and use it to unlock the rear seat and things like that. Those are the differences you pay for the MT-09 SP. Suspension, brakes, keyless ignition, the ability to disable rear ABS, and the ability to adjust engine brake control. The other features of this bike are based off Yamaha's much improved 2024 MT-09, which is introduced for the 2024 model year. Of course, we have this 890cc CP3 3-cylinder engine, water-cooled, dual overhead camshafts, 12-valve cylinder head. This engine is good for 107 horsepower at the business end of that 17-inch Bridgestone Batlax S23 M-Spec 180/55/17 rear tire. This bike puts out about 63 pound-feet of torque at the back wheel with a really flat spread of torque. A lot of torque in this engine. Woo! The engine drinks from a 3.7-gallon fuel tank and delivers right around 37.5 mpg. It's not the best gas mileage. If you lug the engine and just ride slowly, you'll get better gas mileage. But if you like to hold it wide, this thing's gonna drink some gas. Yamaha, can we please have a larger capacity fuel tank? 4.5 gallons would be nice. With a full tank of fuel, this motorcycle weighs in at 428 pounds. It's 3 pounds more than the MT-09. I love the character of this engine. This engine's awesome. It just sounds so good. For a long time, Triumph ruled the inline 3 engine world, and Yamaha basically took their concept and sharpened it. This motorcycle has, this MT-09 3-cylinder has every bit as much character as a Triumph triple, but it's smoother and much more refined feeling, a lot less vibration than Triumph's triple. Love the character. Yamaha fitted these speaker-like cutouts atop the 3.7-gallon fuel tank, and that allows the howl of the air intake to emit inside the cockpit. Just makes for a lot more pleasing ride, yet it doesn't make it too noisy for when you pass by people on the side of the road or other vehicles. The exhaust is still quiet, but it's got a lot nicer sound inside the cockpit. Good job, Yamaha, paying attention to the details. Not only does the engine sound super awesome, but It's relatively devoid of vibration. There is some vibration present through the controls, and you can see it in the mirrors, but it's not off-putting. It feels like it was really tailored to the configuration of the engine. It's not all willy-nilly, like where the engine just vibrates here but doesn't here. It feels. They call Yamaha the tuning fork brand for a reason, because they are literally able to tune these powertrains for the right acoustics and the right amount of vibration, and it's evident in this CP3 engine configuration. Of course, we have a cable actuated clutch with slipper function that augments the 6-speed transmission with an electronic quick shifter it allows for full throttle up shifts, down shifts, and closed throttle up and down shifts. So in essence, it's a quad band electronic quick shifter. That was a big improvement for 2024. That just allows you to make lightning fast up or down shifts by just pressing down on the shift lever. Very, very nice. Oh, the sound of this thing. I love this thing. This thing sounds so mean. Now, keeping tabs on this vehicle is a nice colored TFT display. This was a nice big upgrade for 2024. So you have a nice TFT display. It looks really nice, easy to read day or night. Very easy to use. Yamaha also fitted much more chunky switchgear. It's chunkier, easier to use with gloves, has really good tactile feel. The user interface is really slick. The menu interface makes sense. It's very well organized, and it's easy to make adjustments. Of course, this particular product offers adjustable traction control, adjustable slide control, adjustable wheelie control. Yamaha calls it lift control. We also have net adjustable engine brake, and we have 2 ABS levels, level 1 or 2. ABS level 2 actually features cornering ABS, even though Yamaha won't call it cornering ABS. And brake control 1 is actually the more aggressive, or I should say least aggressive brake setting, which disables cornering ABS, but offers a higher threshold to ABS intervention when the front brake is applied. So a lot of adjustment in this motorcycle, really easy to use. There's also now global settings, which you can use and switch with this mode button. Really handy here. You can also go in the menu and tailor the settings to your liking. Right now we have had our own little custom map with map custom 1. We'll probably install a custom map 2 when we stop, and it just makes riding really fun. You can set the bike up to your liking. Other creature comforts include cruise control. We have electronic cruise control, really easy to use, super accurate, does a good job holding pace. And then we have a USB-C type charging port underneath the 2-piece rider seat. Very, very nice. The ergonomics of this bike have been updated with the MT-09. The ergonomics are much more sport bike-like than before. The handlebar is a little bit lower, has a little bit more sweep towards the rear. The foot pegs are a little higher, a little more far back. So a much more sport bike-like ergonomics package. It's not full sport bike by any means, but it's definitely more sport bike than the traditional naked bike direction that it was from 2021 to 2023. I like these ergonomics. They work really good for those riders out there who like to mob through twisties. If you're just riding on the freeway all day or riding in the city, you're probably not going to like the ergonomics quite as much, but if you like to ride fast through turns, you're going to like this ergonomics package. Of course, you can always position the handlebar more forward or even more rearward by loosening these 4 Allen bolts. I could see how people might want to put the handlebar a little bit more forward. That would give you a more traditional naked bike feel, but in this OEM configuration, I do like it. It's also worth noting that the control levers both offer adjustment. The brake lever offers position adjustment, and now the clutch lever does too. So you can adjust the position of these levers based on your hand size. I love those Brembo Stylema front calipers. They have a lot more power and feel. They just give the bike a lot more braking bite. I just wish Yamaha would have fitted stainless steel brake lines onto this bike. That would have been a nice touch. Still got old school rubber hoses. Yeah, whoa! Yeah, this thing gets! It's worth noting that this vehicle employs ride-by-wire throttle. The ride-by-wire throttle is very accurate feeling, but it does take some getting used to because it's just really responsive. Right now we're riding in engine power mode 2, which is 1 is the most aggressive engine power, combined engine power and throttle map. 2 is slightly less. Then we have 3 and 4. The engine power and throttle modes are connected. So every time you change one of those settings, it modifies combined engine power and throttle response. Pretty neat. This allows you to make this bike as mild or wild with a push of a button. Now this two-piece seat, the seat is a little bit flatter than before. That was another change they made for 2024 with the MT-09. Is not only the seat now a two-piece seat, it's a little bit more flatter. The 3.7 gallon fuel tank's also positioned a little bit lower. Just helps give this bike more favorable handling. Of course, the transmission gears were beefed up. I believe it was 3rd and 4th gear too, and the shock linkage has a revised ratio. Those are all improvements Yamaha made for the MT-09. Really like this bike. It's very agile, changes directions really well. Yamaha improved the steering radius on this bike, so this bike is there's more steering radius for parking lot speed maneuvers. Really nice. There's really not a lot not to like about this bike. This bike is just sweet. Really like the styling too. The MT-09 was always kind of a goofy look bike, but with this 2024 it's really coming onto its own. It looks really sharp, really has a unique stance to it. It just looks really futuristic and nice. Another feature I really like of this bike, we talked about the chunky switch gears, just the self-canceling turn signals. Really awesome, really easy to use. The turn signals have moved to the left control interface, but they automatically cancel. They're really chunky and easy to use. Chunky is the theme of the switchgear. Makes it just easy to manipulate all the features of the bike while you're riding. Of course, if you download Garmin's Streets app, you can get turn-by-turn navigation on this bike. You can also pair this motorcycle to your phone with Yamaha's Y-Connect proprietary Android and iOS smartphone app. Rest assured, this bike's fitted with all LED lighting. LED lighting is awesome for all you night riders out there. Does a good job of throwing off a bright swath of light onto the road ahead. Makes riding not only more safe, but just fun. $12,300 to $1,700 upcharge from the MT-09. And for $1,700, this bike represents really good value. It's got much more high-end suspension. It's got much more beefy jewelry-like front brake calipers from Brembo. The electronic add-ons, the ability to turn off rear ABS so you can hoon around, and being able to reduce the engine braking if you like the bike to freewheel more in corners. Then this awesome Liquid Raven paint job. And while I don't like keyless ignition, a lot of you out there do. So all of these features are a really nice add-on for $1,700. It's actually quite a value. You're getting a lot of bike for your money. This bike would be perfectly fine to do track days on. So if it was my money, I would absolutely opt for the MT-09 SP. Just the performance alone, and then you factor in the aesthetic, just having a bike that sets yourself apart from the competition. Totally worth the extra cost. Well, folks, that wraps up our official review of the MT-09 SP. We love this bike. Built in Japan, comes with a 1-year warranty. Fit and finish is super good. As always, if you want to learn more about this vehicle, surf on over to our website. We have tens of articles on this bike, on its predecessor, and on other vehicles that compete with it in the middleweight plus naked bike segment. Make sure to surf on over to the @AdamWaheed Instagram page. You'll find a lot of exclusive content about this vehicle and vehicles like it. You'll find a lot of insight that you probably won't find anywhere else on the internet. So check out that content if you're interested in this vehicle. As always, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs it down if you didn't, because we'd love to hear from the naysayers. We are an inclusive organization. Everyone's opinion counts. We want to hear from each and every one of you. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for riding with us. Goodbye.